Good evening and welcome to Trending Tonight, the only show on primetime television where we care to explain the news behind the trend. Two stories that we are tracking right here. Story number one, the court in a landmark judgment as far as the Priya Ramani versus MJ Akbar defamation case has said this: reputation not at the cost of dignity. Can this judgment set a positive precedent? It's very, very important and significant, this word, because, just picture this. The victim in this case has been acquitted. Now, how does that sound? So, can this judgment set a positive precedent? We are going to focus more and talk more to our guests in just a short moment and also give you for perspective what the court has said. Our other story that we are tracking right here on Trending Tonight, the Congress sweeps Punjab local polls and the BJP is in a huddle over West UP. Electoral impact of the farm laws will be explained right here later on the show. So let's begin with our story number one. What exactly happened in the case? Reputation not at the cost of dignity, but what all did the court say? What the Priya Ramani MJ Akbar case means? Four crucial points from the judgment on your screen right now. Number one, length of time between the incident of sexual harassment and making it public is irrelevant, says the court. Will this have far-reaching consequences? Point number two, absence or failure of institutional mechanisms mean survivors are entitled to use other media to speak up. Again, extremely crucial for all those people who were saying, why did she go public? She could have approached the requisite forum. Point number three, speaking on public platforms is a form of self-defense. Huge implications, because the next time people cast aspersions as to why a victim is openly naming and shaming, and that too after so long, this judgment could be cited. And point number four, sexual harassment undermines both dignity, Article 21, and equality, Articles 14 as well as 15, because of its gendered nature. These rights override the right to reputation. These are important words in this judgment which will have far-reaching implications. Let's talk about this further with our two guests. Pragya Tiwari is a senior journalist with us now, and we also have Mihira Sood, advocate of the Supreme Court. Thank you very much to the two of you. Mihira, let's begin with you first. These 4 points that have been mentioned as part of this judgment, do you or do you not feel that this will be cited as a court in many judgments where the victims are suffering?
One can only hope. One can only hope that that is the case. This judgment is it's sad that we have to celebrate a day where a victim is acquitted rather than a day where a perpetrator is being convicted. But that's the sad reality of it. And having said that, certainly, while this is a great day for Priya Ramani, and it's a great day for all the women who've spoken their truth or wanted to speak their truth and been too afraid, I think it's also a really good day for Indian jurisprudence, because this judgment is so progressive and it seems to really go beyond the hyper technicalities and understand the nature of sexual harassment, the nature of the Me Too movement, and the difficulties that people have faced in coming forward, both before and after the law. But in this particular case, before we had a law on sexual harassment, and before not that the law is perfect, but before the law even existed, and in a time where you didn't, the question of, the kind of evidence that one might in some cases have today, like, messages and emails, etc. That kind of evidence is also not possible. I think the judge has shown a remarkable understanding of the nuances and the difficulties. And as you pointed out earlier on, the impact that silencing women will have on women's participation in the workplace and women's equality in general. So yes, that consideration has to override other concerns like reputational and other concerns.
Absolutely. Pragya Tiwari, the fact that a victim has been acquitted is in itself a very difficult thought to wrap your head around. But But what do you feel are going to be the implications? Do you feel that now more women would want to come out? In fact, many women who alleged but then kept quiet, thinking that it's not right, will kind of restart, you know, their fight for justice as part of Me Too?
Sanket, when it comes to obviously legal implications, Mehra has spoken to them, and on your channel earlier today, Avi Singh had made the important point that this case creates a common law exception to criminal defamation. It's a very progressive judgment, but in the end, it's a trial court, which remains to be seen whether it's going to be appealed and how this is, you know, how this judgment will fare in terms of what happens in this case legally going forward. So I will leave that be. But culturally speaking, yes, this is momentous, and it definitely counts as a milestone, because what it does, as all of you have pointed out, is creates a sort of space for women to be able to speak up without the fear of laws such as criminal defamation, which exist in our books, being weaponized in order to silence them. And this is huge, because every single woman might not, in fact, want legal justice. She might just want to be able to spell out the fact that this is happening, just to, you know, just to create a safe space for herself, just to be able to talk about it, just to be able to, you know, for mental health reasons, or to be able to carry on working, what have you. And that kind of agency should remain with women, what they want, you know, to do with what has happened to them, and how they want to kind of find their path to reconciliation and justice. And that really is progressive about this judgment. But we do have to remember that, you know, not all women will face pushback in the form of a lawsuit, right? When we go into rural India, when we even go to smaller towns, there are women who will face societal pressures, familial pressures for speaking,
Very important.
you know, if they speak out.
Even physical violence.
Of course, not all. And I cannot, I mean, if all I really want to do today is just applaud Rebecca John and Priya Ramani and all the women who stood by her. But having said that, let's not forget that we are still the elite in some way. Not all women will have the kind of support system that someone like Priya had by her side. And let's also not be too hasty, as progressive as the judgment is, to kind of see it as representative of the entire legal justice system, because biases against women remain entrenched in the criminal justice system. So all of these dampeners exist, but having said that, it is a milestone, and
Absolutely.
I am celebrating, and I hope lots of women are alongside me.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Pragya, as well as Mehra, for joining us. Let's quickly move on to story number 2. This is definitely a huge story, and we've spoken about it through the course of the day. What impact is this going to have on, as far as other women are concerned and other cases, will be very interesting to see. But the other story, political story that we are focusing right here, is the Congress sweep in the elections, local body elections in Punjab, and the BJP's sudden huddle over Western Uttar Pradesh. There was a meeting in the BJP headquarters yesterday. There was a crucial meeting at Sanjeev Balyan, a minister in the Union Cabinet from Western UP, over Jat resentment. Remember, ever since Tiket cried, as a fallout of the farmers' unrest, you have these huge Mahapanchayats, and the BJP feels that there could be a possible impact on over 40-odd seats. So this is a huge matter of concern for the BJP. But let's talk about the Punjab story first. I have Shiromani Akali Dal MP, Mr. Naresh Gujral with us. Mr. Gujral, thank you very much. How would you respond? I mean, this is a clean sweep for the Congress party. Almost an embarrassing position for the Shiromani Akali Dal. The Congress says that the reason why this is happening is because first you supported the ordinance, and then later you moved away from the alliance. And that's why you've not been rewarded.
Well, I don't want to sound like a bad loser, but the fact of the matter is that this was a sham election. Hundreds and hundreds of nomination papers of the opposition candidates were rejected outright. I just give you a few examples. In Zira, for example, out of all the seats were unopposed, because the nomination papers of both Akali Dal and AAP were rejected right in the beginning. In Guru Har Sahai, 16 seats are there, 9 were rejected So that means only 7 seats were fought. In Firozpur city, there are a total of 30 seats. 10 were rejected outright, which means only 20 seats were contested. In Jalalabad, total of 17 seats. 10 were rejected outright. This list goes on and on and on. Now, we are not the only ones who suffered. Aam Aadmi Party, BJP, every single party that had a serious.
No, are you saying that? Are you saying that the results would have been different had this not been the practice?
Yes. Let me finish. I'm just saying, in Jalalabad, for example, because the Congress workers were not allowing the opposition parties to file papers, Mr. Sukhbir Singh Badal accompanied our candidates to file the papers. His convoy was fired upon. The stoning, firing, and the police just watched helplessly. Now, this is not the way to conduct an election. This was basically, they're claiming that they've swept the election only because they had the support of the police and the state election machinery. So this is no election really.
So it should not be seen as a referendum on the farm laws.
Despite everything, Akali Dal has managed to win more than 400 seats. So and Aam Aadmi Party has been relegated to only 47 seats. So the message is, the next election is going to be between the two traditional rivals, Congress Party and the Akali Dal.
Okay.
And we are ready. The assembly elections are in 1 year. We are back in the game.
You're saying in the assembly elections,
give them a run for their money.
Come February 2022, the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party will be relegated as smaller players, and the fight really will be between you and the Congress.
Absolutely, absolutely. And another take is that by doing this, by winning this election by hook or crook, the Chief Minister's camp has sent a message to their high command in Delhi that don't try to foist Mr. Sidhu on us.
Okay. All right, Mr. Gujral, many thanks for joining us on this discussion. Mr. Gujral feels that the contest in February 2022 is going to be between the Congress and the Shiromani Akali Dal, and that this cannot be seen as a massive Congress victory as a fallout of the farm laws, because he feels that these elections were not fair. But obviously there will be a Congress perspective to this as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Gujral, for joining us. Let's also go across to Mr. Harjot Bains, the spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, and Alok Vats, leader of the BJP. Mr. Bains, let's begin with you first. Would you share the assessment of the Shiromani Akali Dal, that these elections are biased? Because many people will see you guys as the sore losers.
Sanket ji, for an honest introspection of any elections, it is very much that the elections that has been conducted should be free and fair. But sadly, in these elections, the democracy has been murdered. Rightly from the day of nominations, our nominations were rejected. And during the campaign, the MLAs of Congress and their relatives created an atmosphere of fear amongst the voters. And number third, on the day of polling, more than 200 booths were captured. Punjab police was acting as their polling agents. There are videos, our district president was beaten on street. Punjab police acted as a polling, and even today, on the day of counting, many of the winning candidates were declared as losers. That there is even a fraud in counting. So everything, they have stabbed the democracy, and this cannot be an honest introspection. But we are proud as a party, as Aam Aadmi Party, which promises that an alternative politics are contested this election without any use of liquor, money or any other consent.
Harjot ji, we just spoke to Mr. Naresh Gujral, and he feels that he's alleging the same against the Congress party and saying that this is a discredited victory. But he says that this basically shows, the results show that the contest of February 2022, that is the Vidhan Sabha elections of Punjab, are going to be between the two traditional rivals, the Shiromani Akali Dal as well as the Congress, with Aam Aadmi Party nowhere in the mix.
No, I tell you, Sanket ji, I have been campaigning in these elections. The people of Punjab, less than 365 days are left in the elections. People of Punjab are eager to vote for Aam Aadmi Party in 2022. The reason is that they want the Kejriwal model of development of the Delhi, not the fake Gujarat model, where now in Delhi 73% of the people are getting their electricity bill as zero. People are eager to vote for Aam Aadmi Party. Less than 365 days are, and we are winning, and we will form a government, and we will create a replica of Delhi in Punjab. We will give people free power, hospitals, schools, and the list goes on. I tell you, people are eager to waiting. And that we are winning this election. Less than 365 days are left, and we welcome. This was our first time. This is the first time Aam Aadmi Party is contesting local elections in Punjab. We welcome the people's mandate. Had it not had it been election, then figure would have been something different. And we are workers, our volunteers are working
One
day and
moment.
night,
Let me get in. Let me get in, Mr. Alok Vats, also of the BJP. Mr. Vats, good evening.
Sure.
The point.
Good evening.
Yeah, the point over here is that the Shiromani Akali Dal and the Aam Aadmi Party allege foul play as far as these local body election results are concerned. Traditionally, conventional wisdom says that usually the ruling party in the state tries to take advantage in these local polls. But the Congress looks at it as a sort of a referendum on the farm laws, saying that this is just proof that people in Punjab are unhappy, and they are unhappy to this extent. Now, in West UP, Mr. Vats, we have seen that the BJP has been in a huddle. It's not just restricted to Punjab. You see that there is a strong agitation happening in West UP also, massive Mahapanchayats. And the BJP does seem to be in a reason to worry. That is why you're having meeting after meeting. So is electorally farm laws not making sense?
No, it's not that. You see, right from the beginning, it was the people from Punjab and Western UP who were in the forefront of this agitation. And yes, in Punjab, it has taken its toll on us in the elections. This was very clear from the beginning, because most of the people who were there in this agitation were from Punjab, and that's the whole India was saying. But look at the percentage of people compared to the Indian agricultural sector. This is negligible people, negligible percentage. And for the interest of the country at large, Narendra Modi is not going to bow down to this. Just for electoral gains in some places, the larger interest is of the country.
So I think that's a very interesting comment, Mr. Vats. So you are saying that these defeats in Punjab and perhaps some concern in pockets of Western UP just ahead of the Vidhan Sabha elections in UP are only small prices to pay electorally for a law which will have larger gains.
Yes, I stand by that.
No, but then why is the BJP strategizing so extensively? You had a meeting yesterday at the party headquarters for Western UP. Today, Mr. Sanjeev Balyan, who's a minister from West UP, held a meeting.
As a political party, we have to take care of our electorate. But at the same time, we have not closed or shut the doors for conversation and trying to sort out things. As an electorate, we are a party which contests elections. So if we are losing some electorate because of some reason, we must tighten our belts and try to get them back to our fold. That exercise is being done.
you do realize that in certain pockets it will lead to electoral loss. So that calculation, you agree to that extent.
Already the writing is on the wall. It has happened in Punjab in the Nagar Panchayat Chunav, Nagar Nigam Chunav.
Okay. No, I like the fact that you're very, very frank about this, that you realize that this is leading to electoral loss.
Why shouldn't I be frank about it? When we have lost in Punjab...
No, but then what does this mean, Mr. Vats? If you have lost in Punjab, that means the people, and Punjab contributes the most as far as, the FCI, to the FCI kitty. So if farmers who contribute the most...
That I agree.
No,
yes,
but then,
there is a large pocket for rice and wheat in Punjab.
Correct, Mr. Vats. But if in Punjab the maximum contributor to the FCI,
they have not stopped growing the paddy and the wheat. That is still on. The agitation has nothing to do with not sowing the seeds for production.
Sure. Okay. Okay, Mr. Harjot as well as Mr. Alok Vats, thank you very much for joining us on this broadcast. We also spoke to the Congress Party's Manish Tiwari. Let's play out that interview. What are your initial impressions of the reports coming in from Punjab in the local body polls?
Well, Sanket, thank you very much for having me on your show. In fact, the results of the local bodies elections, and you've had both corporation and Nagar Council elections, has been an overwhelming mandate for the Indian National Congress. So essentially, there are three takeaways from the results today. The first takeaway is that it's an endorsement of the leadership that Captain Amrinder Singh has provided and the stewardship that he has been able to give direction to over the past 4 years to the state of Punjab. Number two, it is also an endorsement of the stand which the government of Punjab had taken, as it was the first off the block in order to articulate its complete opposition to the farm laws. In fact, the government of Punjab introduced 3 bills in the Punjab Vidhan Sabha, and the Vidhan Sabha with almost near unanimity, leaving aside 2 members of the Bharatiya Janata Party, in fact, passed those bills, which are now pending with the governor. For some strange reason, he's not even sending it on to the Ministry of Home Affairs. Number 3, I think it is also an articulation of the grave anger and resentment which the people of Punjab feel over the manner in which the central government has dealt with this entire agitation on the farm laws, for the simple reason that most of these Nagar councils are nothing more than overgrown mandi towns. You know, essentially their economy is completely and absolutely dependent upon the agrarian countryside around these small towns. And so therefore, in a sense, I think it sends a very, very clear message to New Delhi that the people of Punjab, the government of Punjab is completely and absolutely one with the farmers in their struggle against the farm laws. And because the Indian National Congress decided to stand with the farmers, the people of Punjab endorsed that stand of the Indian National Congress, and it led to a complete and absolute.
Sure, but Mr. Tiwari, is this trend, according to you, going to continue in the upcoming Vidhan Sabha elections also, which are due in February 2022 in Punjab? Because, you know, as far as the BJP is concerned, they made it very clear, laws are not going anywhere.
Well, if the laws are not going anywhere, the agitation against the laws is also not going anywhere, Sanket. So therefore, make no mistake, we are a very, very resilient and a very persevering people, and we will keep at it till the time these laws do not get repealed. But to answer your question, whether you can extrapolate these trends to the upcoming Vidhan Sabha elections in the January of 2022, my answer would be yes. And the reason why I say that is because if you rewind back over the past 4 years, we won the assembly elections. Then you had elections to major corporations in Punjab, Amritsar, Jalandhar, Ludhiana, Patiala. The Congress won all the corporations. Then you won 8 out of the 13 Lok Sabha seats, losing 1 seat very narrowly to the BJP, which is the adjoining seat to me, Hoshiarpur. And then now you convincingly and overwhelmingly won these remaining corporations and Nagar Council elections. So therefore, this is a trend which has held over the past 4 years.
And what about the Shiromani Akali Dal? I mean, you've made some inroads in some SAD strongholds as well. Is that going to continue, or can they contain the damage?
Well, insofar as the Shiromani Akali Dal is concerned, I guess the people of Punjab have sent them a very clear message that you cannot run with the hare and hunt with the hound. You cannot be a part of the cabinet which promulgated their ordinances, and then you cannot first campaign that these ordinances are good for farmers and for the people of agrarian states. And then when you see build-up of angst against these laws, do an abrupt U-turn and, kind of do the drama of resigning from the union government and trying to be more holier than the Pope. I think the people of Punjab have actually seen through this charade, they've seen through this gimmickry, and that's why the Akali Dal has been given a very resounding defeat by the people of Punjab.
Okay. Mr. Manish Tiwari, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.